Story 1. In an old, dilapidated mansion, there hung a peculiar mirror that was rumored to be cursed. The mirror had a dark history, having been passed down through generations of the family that once inhabited the mansion. It was said that those who gazed into the mirror saw their darkest fears come to life. Intrigued by the legends, I couldn't resist the urge to explore the mansion and see the infamous mirror for myself. The mansion's decaying walls groaned with every step, and a chilling breeze whispered through the corridors. As I approached the mirror, I saw my reflection staring back at me, but there was something off about it. The image seemed distorted, and a sense of unease washed over me. Ignoring my growing trepidation, I locked eyes with my reflection. In the mirror, my surroundings transformed into a sinister version of reality. The mansion's walls dripped with blood and ghostly figures loomed in the corners. Panic surged through me as I tried to look away, but it was as if the mirror held me captive. A haunting voice whispered from within the glass, calling my name in an eerie tone. I could feel its malevolence penetrating my mind, probing my deepest fears. The longer I stared, the more I lost touch with reality, trapped in a nightmarish world of the mirror's creation. I tried to break free, but the mirror's hold was relentless. It showed me the faces of my loved ones contorted with horror, and it played on my deepest insecurities, turning them into terrifying apparitions that taunted me. Time seemed to lose its meaning as I was trapped in the mirror's nightmarish realm. Days turned into nights, and I grew weaker and more terrified with each passing moment. I was a prisoner to the mirror's malevolence. In a desperate bid for escape, I remembered a legend about a hidden sigil that could break the mirror's curse. I searched for it within the mansion's decrepit halls, following obscure clues left by those who'd encountered the mirror before. Finally, I found the sigil etched into a hidden chamber's wall. With trembling hands, I traced the ancient symbol, and a pulse of energy surged through the mansion. The mirror shook violently, and a deafening scream echoed through the halls. In an instant, the mirror shattered into 1,000 pieces, and I was released from its clutches. The nightmarish world it had created vanished, and the mansion returned to its dilapidated state. My reflection in the broken shards was now free of the malevolence that had once haunted it. As I fled the mansion, I vowed never to return. The haunted mirror had shown me the depths of terror that could consume a person's mind, and I knew I had narrowly escaped its sinister fate. But even after leaving the mansion, I couldn't forget the haunting experience. The curse of the mirror had left a mark on my soul, and I knew that the horrors it showed me would forever linger in my mind. The haunted mirror had become a grim reminder of the thin line between reality and the darkest corners of the human psyche. Story 2. In the heart of a dense ancient forest, there stood a cabin known as the Whispering Forest Cabin. The locals warned of its dark past, claiming it was cursed by an ancient entity that whispered malevolence to those who dared to enter. Intrigued by the legends, I decided to spend a night there alone. As I arrived, the cabin loomed eerily before me, covered in moss and surrounded by twisted, gnarled trees. The air was heavy, and an ominous mist clung to the ground. Despite my apprehension, I pressed on, determined to uncover the secrets hidden within. Inside, the walls seemed to breathe, and the floorboards creaked with every step. The cabin's unsettling silence was occasionally interrupted by faint whispers that seemed to echo from the darkest corners. As the night fell, I lit a few candles to break the suffocating darkness. I could feel an unseen presence watching me, and the cabin's shadows seemed to stretch and contort, forming eerie shapes on the wall. In the dim light, I heard rustling outside, like something or someone was lurking in the forest. Fear gripped me, and I secured the cabin's doors and windows, trying to dismiss the feeling of being watched. The whispers grew louder, no longer confined to the corners, but reverberating throughout the cabin. It spoke in an ancient, incomprehensible language, filling the air with a sense of foreboding. Attempting to distract myself, I looked through a dusty collection of old books left on a shelf. Among them, I found an ancient tome bound in decaying leather. The title was in an unknown script, and as I opened it, a sudden chill ran down my spine. Inside, the pages contained drawings of grotesque creatures and chilling incantations. The book detailed rituals to summon and communicate with spirits from another realm. I couldn't help but wonder if the cabin's whispers were connected to these dark practices. As the night wore on, the cabin seemed to come alive. The walls pulsed, and the whispers turned into mournful cries that echoed through the forest. I felt a strange pull, as if an unseen force was drawing me into its clutches. In the flickering candlelight, I spotted a faint symbol etched into the cabin's wooden floor. It resembled the markings from the book, and I knew that breaking the curse might involve confronting the malevolent entity behind this haunting. Gathering my courage, I chanted an incantation from the book, hoping to reveal the truth. The air crackled with electricity, and a gust of wind rushed through the cabin, extinguishing the candles. In the darkness, I heard a sinister laughter that seemed to come from all directions. The cabin shook, and the whispers intensified into a maddening chorus of voices. Suddenly, the forest outside erupted with howls, and the cabin's walls seemed to close in on me. I realized that I had awakened a malevolent force that was determined to trap me within its domain. In a desperate attempt to escape, I frantically recited a banishing spell. The cabin trembled violently, and an unearthly scream pierced the night. Then, as abruptly as it had started, the haunting ceased. The cabin fell silent, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted. The forest outside became tranquil once again. I knew I had broken the curse, but I couldn't shake the feeling that the entity would never truly leave the Whispering Forest cabin. As the sun rose, I quickly left the cabin behind, vowing never to return. The experience left me scarred, forever haunted by the whispers of that cursed place. The Whispering Forest cabin would forever remain a chilling reminder of the thin veil between our world and the darkness that lies beyond. Story 3. It was a moonless night, and I found myself home alone at Midnight Mansion, an imposing estate with a dark history. The mansion had been abandoned for decades, and my family had recently inherited it. As I explored the vast halls, a chilling air hung heavy, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was not alone. I settled in for the night, hoping to ignore the unsettling atmosphere and get some rest. But as the clock struck midnight, strange things began to happen. Soft footsteps echoed in the hallways, and eerie shadows danced on the walls. I heard faint whispers, like ghostly voices carried on the wind. My heart pounded in my chest, and a cold sweat covered my brow. I tried to convince myself it was my imagination, but the fear was too real. As I lay in bed, I saw a flickering light under my door. Fearfully, I opened it, and to my horror, the hallway outside was filled with spectral apparitions. They moved silently, their eyes empty voids, and they seemed to beckon me to follow. Against my better judgment, I ventured outside my room, drawn by an invisible force. The mansion's dark secrets seemed to call to me, and I couldn't resist their haunting allure. As I explored further, I found myself in the mansion's forgotten wing, a place rumored to be cursed. The air was heavy with sorrow, and I could sense a presence lurking in the shadows. I felt like a trespasser in a realm not meant for the living. In a hidden chamber, I discovered an old diary that belonged to a young girl named Amelia who had lived in the mansion centuries ago. Her entries spoke of unspeakable horrors, of a malevolent force that tormented her and drove her to madness. The diary mentioned a ritual that could break the curse, but it required a sacrifice of great significance. Fearful yet desperate, I continued my investigation, determined to put an end to the sinister forces that plagued Midnight Mansion. With each step, the spirits seemed to grow more restless. They whispered in an unintelligible language, their mournful cries filling the night. The mansion's walls appeared to breathe, and the very essence of the house seemed to shift and contort. I gathered the items needed for the ritual, my hands trembling as I followed Amelia's instructions. The midnight hour arrived, and I stood in the center of the mansion, surrounded by the ghostly apparitions. It was a moment of reckoning. In the flickering candlelight, I performed the ritual, invoking ancient words that seemed to carry with them a powerful energy. The air crackled with electricity, and a chilling wind howled through the halls. Suddenly, the apparitions stopped their haunting whispers and turned to face me. Their eyes glowed with an ethereal light, and for a moment I thought they were going to drag me into their world. But then, the spirits slowly dissipated, and the mansion fell into a profound silence. The oppressive darkness that had engulfed Midnight Mansion lifted, and the unsettling atmosphere vanished. In the end, the ritual worked, and I had freed the spirits trapped within the cursed mansion. As dawn approached, I stepped outside feeling a sense of relief and victory. Midnight Mansion was finally at peace. But the haunting experience left an indelible mark on me. I knew that the spirits would forever linger in my memory, a reminder of the night I faced the supernatural. From that moment on, I never felt truly alone again, for the shadows of Midnight Mansion would always follow me even in the brightest of days.